Hey, this is Vega Lewis, also known as Master Rui, and today we're back with yet another tutorial episode. We're continuing from where we left off last time, where we created an action for creating flats, but we only created one layer of colors. So how about another layer of colors? How can we get deeper with our flatting process in a way that is a bit faster than usual? So let's get right into it. On my left is a list of all the actions that we're going to go through today. And on my right is the layer panel where we have our character, KIBUUKA, his line art, and his flat colors, right? So we have all those two things set up. Another thing I've set up is a layer called colors right on top of the KIBUUKA flats. It's clipped on top of it. So if you do not know how to do this, we can quickly go through it. I will delete that layer and I will create a new layer. I will give it a name, colors. Maybe assign it a color, red. And right click on that layer. Press clipping mask. And there we have. So, all right, with that out of the way, let's continue. Above that layer is the KIBUUKA line art layer, so I'm going to select that. And I'm going to make sure that I grab this tool. It's called the magic wand tool. This tool at the end, the magic wand tool. And I'm going to come to KIBUUKA and make a selection, right? Now, once I've made this selection, I can now move on with this process. Please make sure that at this point you have your own the line art layer. You've made a magic wand selection into your drawing, and next I need you to move your selection all the way to that colors layer. Make sure your colors layer is selected right now. Otherwise, creating this action is going to become very difficult very confusing as we move on. So make sure this is selected. And now we can begin creating the wonderful action that we've come to do today. So above here, you'll find the actions panel. If you do not find it here, you can find it in Windows and, actions there. So that's a little way of finding it. So as you can see, there's already actions that I created before, but that doesn't matter. We'll create a new action. We'll call it to fill color, right? We've assigned it a name. We've set it to comics. We'll use F3 and we'll press Control. If we would like, we'd maybe give it a color, maybe red. And the moment I hit record, we'll be moving on to this next section of the process. So I hit record and now we can move on. So I'll go to the select panel. I'll look for modify. I'll go to expand, and it will give me the option to expand by 2 pixels, maybe 3, 4, it doesn't matter. Here I do 2 because my line art is quite thick and I think it's the right distance for that. All right, so next we'll move on to filling the color. So I have a color already selected here, so do not press. So I'll do Alt backspace, and that will fill in that color. And then for the final bit of this process, I'll do Ctrl D, which will deselect the color that I filled in. And I'll come over here to the actions panel and I'll stop recording. And there you have it. Congratulations, you have set up the action, and we can now repetitively use it throughout the process to create what we want. So in order to use this action, there's one thing you need to know, is that the color that you want to fill in needs to be selected in your color box before filling it in. So I want to make maybe his eyes a different color, like white, for example. I will do that. I will come to the KIBUUKA line layer, select maybe the eyes, right? I will come down to the colors layer where I want, of course, where my colors to be, and I'll now use our wonderful action, which is Ctrl F3. So I'll press Ctrl F3 and boom, right? You know, it's filled in a color there, right? As you can notice, there's a part of the eyes that was filled in that I probably didn't want to fill in, and that's because I did not prepare this area properly with my line art. So I can come and close those lines, and I can select those inner eyes now as my next part on the line art layer, and I'll come to colors and I'll do the same, Ctrl F3, fill that in, and they'll work, you know, just as well. And so, you know, just like that, most of the areas can easily be filled in, you know. So I can select these teeth here, and I can go back to the colors panel. Oh, I need to make sure that I've selected the color that I would want the teeth to be, which is probably somewhere along the whites. And Ctrl F3, that'll fill that in. I want the lips to also be colored. I'll do the same thing, go up there. Oopsie, as you can tell, there's probably a hole somewhere. So I will come, fill that hole, yeah. So the disadvantage of this is that you need to make sure that your holes are closed so that you can use it. We're gonna come here, F3, let's see, let's give it that color, F2, and that's it, you know. So I can continue this process over and over again and have these colors filled in by just pressing two buttons, Ctrl F3, but it feels like one button. It makes life a lot easier than a different process. For example, if I wanted to fill something like this in, I would have to go through something much more difficult, because this is incredibly hard to select out. You know, if I tried to select this out, it would take me forever. I'd always fail to pull it off well. So what I'm gonna do with a section of this nature is I'm gonna use the polygonal lasso tool, right? The polygonal lasso tool creates selections as well, right? So I will make a selection of that eyebrow like that. I'll make another selection of that eyebrow, and I'm gonna go to the colors layer, and I'm gonna fill it with the color, right? Maybe some colors the hair, right? And I'm gonna deselect that, and there I have it. You know, if there's any sections that I feel need to be filled in, I can always come back in with a brush and fill that in. So the advantages of this method is it can help you prevent having to manually color these things in, because that would take you like forever, and it's inaccurate, and it's kind of messy at the same time. So you want to have some simple ways to fill color in and make your life easier and quicker, something that you could have taken a whole day to painting, because you're approaching it bit by bit, you can do in a much shorter period of time using this action. All right, so I'm going to delete that, bring back our colors. We can do the same thing here with mosaic. I have some of these colors at the top here, so I'm just going to fill them in real quick. Okay, I'm going to select the color, Ctrl F3, and that's filled in. Get back to his line art, select that out, Ctrl F3, and that's filled in, and I'll continue this process over and over again until I get the results that I need, having filled in all the tiny bits and sections that I want to fill in. Yeah, as you can see, the selection here is a bit complicated because there's so many lines in there. So using my lasso tool, I can have that in, and select my color here that I want to fill in, Ctrl F3, and that's it. So just like that, we'll keep on filling in all these tiny bits on all the characters until we arrive at something. So in the end, I'm going to show you how this page turned out after adding all the colors in. So I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and I hope you can use these actions to make your life easier when it comes to flatting in comics. And maybe if you create your own cool actions as well, you can be able to share them with us so we can learn a bit more from you as well. This has been today's tutorial. Thank you for tuning in. Have a blast. Dream of space. Gravity is a lie.